Well, very good evening to everyone. Happy New Year to you all. Let's say hello to a few people. We've got Laurie, Richard, Barry, Paul, Stuart, Brad and Colin already in the room. So hello all you guys in the room.
I'm in the room. I guess I don't matter.
Oh, happy New Year. How you doing, Robert?
Happy New Year to everyone, and may it be the most prosperous ever for everyone. That's our goal. That's our BRR new policy, which is build, rent, and rank. And, 2022 was an interesting year, but 2023 is just like seeing the light through the trees, the light through at the end of the tunnel, seeing all the things that are possible. I'm so excited for everyone to be on this journey with us and to be part of that, because I think there's just so many roadblocks that have been removed and so many new paths that have been opened that we are going to explore this year.
Yeah, I agree. And it's going to be a super exciting year. For those guys that have been waiting for it, the MLB training is in the members area now. If you can't see the tab, it's in the same section. It'll be near all the themes in its own little tab saying MLB. If you can't see it, raise a support ticket. Go to dfymagicthemes.com/support. Raise a ticket there and let us know that you haven't got access, and we'll make sure you have. But I've gone in and checked the majority of the accounts for people, and it shows you how to use the Magic Location Builder system inside that. And we're going to be recording the training for MPP as well for those that prefer to use MPP. So we've got lots to do over the coming weeks, and me and Rob have been talking a lot about build, rent, then rank. And we are putting together some extra training over the coming weeks in the first quarter. Ideally, we're in the first month of the processes that we've now got in place to be able to help you guys get your sites up and running. We talk about ranking sites, and a lot of training courses will go build your site, rank it, then rent it. And we're saying build it, rent it out, get it rented to somebody, even if it's like $99 a month at first. You do an agreement. You say normally we charge $500 a month. We're going to charge you $99 a month initially, a discounted price for your first 6 months. That gives you 6 months then to push the site up to where it needs to be. And so okay, Paul, I will address that. I don't know why. I will test that first thing in the morning and give you a message, all right, on that file. So, but thank you for letting me know. Sometimes these things happen with the files, and we host our files with Wasabi, and occasionally there's a glitch and I have to re-upload it. So I will check that tonight for you, and I'll send you a message to confirm that's all good. All right. But coming back to ranking the site, people overcomplicate ranking websites. And in a very simple term, and we'll get into this more in the inner circle, when you get your site set up, and I preached this last year regularly, right? Build a site. Now people worry about, oh, what about this, that, and the other, and how it's going to look. The first step is just getting a blooming site up online. It doesn't matter how it looks. It doesn't matter what content necessarily is on there, as long as it's theme related to what you're doing. Let's say you're doing a site for a plumber, get a plumber site up, get your phone number on it, get an email address on it, get a contact form on it, and make sure those 3 items are working. When you've done that, then you can focus on adding an SEO plugin and doing once again, we'll talk about this on the inner circle. When it comes to SEO, people can complicate that as well. Go and look at what other people are doing on Google, right? Because the basic SEO is the title that you see on Google and the description. Go and see what other people are doing and write something similar. And once you've got those 2 pieces done, then you do your social media channels for your site. So in other words, you have a Facebook page, a Twitter page, and a YouTube page. Now, those 3 social media channels are the very basics you need. All right. And you set those 3 up and you point the 3 of them to your money site, your plumber site. And then you point your plumber site back to those 3 social media channels. Then you get yourself a social media scheduler and schedule up posts to it throughout the, for the next 6 months or whatever. Spend a couple of hours doing that. After that, it's your citations. That's your directory sites like Yellow Pages, Yelp, things like that. And then let the site linger for a bit. Don't panic about too much after that. Focus on, then say, okay, I've got myself a plumber site up. I'm now going to build a gardener site and then get a gardener site up. Then, and then get another site up. And gradually do the same processes for each of them, and then go and look at the sites that are doing well in the areas they're doing well in, and they're the ones you focus on. They're the ones you go, great, I've got a plumber's site. Out of my plumbers, electricians, and gardener site, the plumbers is doing the best right now, and the SERPs is at the top of page 2. And that's the point then when you use something like the Magic Ranker system to give it that boost up to the top and get it to where it needs to be. But in the meantime, you've been renting a site out to somebody who hasn't got one for $99 a month, right? And they think that's a great deal. And you say first 6 months, we'll talk about pricing after that, because then you've got a site set up, and you always use a Twilio number, so that way then you can monitor the calls going through the system, and then you can go back to them and go, look at these call stats we've been getting you. And the other thing that you can do, but I don't do it personally, is Facebook ads or YouTube ads or Google ads or Bing ads. And the reason I don't do them for my local sites is I know people have spent tens of thousands of dollars on advertising because they didn't understand the right way of doing it. And there's so much involved with doing advertising on these platforms. Really, I prefer to use that advertising for my agency site, or I'd use that advertising to sell a product online. I wouldn't panic necessarily at first, because if you've got someone paying a low amount of money to rent your site from you because they haven't got a website, and remember this as well, every person on this Zoom call right now, right, you are agency owners. So you know more than the average Joe public would know in the first place. And when you get talking to a local plumber, if you go to talk to a local plumber and you say to him, I could build you this website, and you go all technical on him, he's going to be confused in the same way that if he started talking to you about how to fix a boiler, right, my eyes would glaze over, because I'm not interested in fixing boilers. I'm interested in building websites, And you've got to think that way, and that's why when you do your pricing, I highly recommend all the time with your pricing to go higher first and then offer a discount. Because if you go in at 99, if I said, right, Barry, I've got a website for you, and the deal is $99 a month, you go, oh, fantastic, Steve, thank you, that's great. 6 months later, it's getting loads of calls in. I come back to Barry, I go, Barry, we're getting loads of calls in for you. Now we've got to charge you $500 a month. You go, no, I agreed $99 a month. If you say it's $500 a month, but we're discounting it down for a number of months, and then we'll talk about the pricing after that, you can come back up. And it's much easier to come back up on a price than to start low and do it the other way around. And, we are, in my local area, I've just built the agency site, and I've got to do the social media stuff, and I'm recording case studies as I'm doing this over the next week to get as much data into your members area, the case studies, so you can see me doing this. And one thing that's different with us, There are some sites I've got that I rent out that I can't share because I've got agreements with those businesses that I wouldn't share them out. But I can share my agency site. I can share the new sites I'm going to start building out with the new themes in my local area. And I've written into the agreement for new people I'm going to get signed up that I'm allowed to share those sites. And that way, then I'm going to be doing something that you don't see many other people do in this industry and go, here's a website. I've set up my agency site. Look where it's ranking in my local area. Now I've gone to set up a plumber's site. Look where it's ranking in the local area. Now I've gone to set up a gardening site. And over the next few months, I'm going to be building these sites and from scratch, setting them up, showing you guys on the inner circle how I'm doing this to prove to you that it's not as hard as people think it really is. You know, and proof is always in the pudding. You know, we got Barry here, who we know has done brilliantly with his sites, and there's a few other faces I know here that are doing well in what they're doing. And this is the excitement with it that, which is why I wanted to do this last year. And then we got onto the project of the Magic Content Builder, you know, Magic Code Builder, sorry, and, you know, the MCB. And that took up a lot of my time to get to that to where it is now. There is going to be an update coming through in the next few weeks, and we'll make sure you guys get that, because I know there's been one or two sites that have occasionally it comes up with there's been an error. We know what it is, and it's a conflict between two plugins. And on the inner circle, we'll tell you what the other plugin is that you can disable for the time being to stop that from happening. The other plugin did an update, and because of the update, it's causing now a conflict. And this is what we've always had with various plugins with what we do. An update comes in, and then we've got to rebuild what we're doing because of the update, and then we've got no control over some of those plugins, which is why we're trying to make our own plugins in a way so that we can manage that. So when we do an update on one plugin, we can then update the other one at the same time, and they work together. You want to add anything to that, Robert?
You know, what you said is important, because there are so many companies, gurus, people teaching, people coaching, people mentoring that will never show you what they do. Will never show you the real ins and outs and problems. And, you know, and quite frankly, to be honest, why do they not do that? Because it doesn't always work. We're not Google. We're not in charge of the internet. We're not in charge of the competition that you're looking at in one city and another person's looking at in another. And it's very hard to do replication cookie cutter kind of things. And they follow through for every different competition and city and, you know, area in the world. It's not going to happen. The real part about this is we show you our failures. We show you our successes. We are transparent when it comes to, oh crap, I don't really know. Let us find out. And that's comes back all the way around to being a DFYer. That comes all the way back around to why we did this in the beginning. The reality is, Steve and I spend a lot of time trying to help people understand and remove roadblocks and puddles. That's the God's honest truth. We are always doing this to the level of your success. And as we go forward with this and keep going forward with this, that's what we're always going to do. Are we perfect? No. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not. Stephen is, but I'm not.
I'm not, which I was.
But we want to help. We want to see that you guys go and build forward. And me saying that, the idea of putting up the agency site was done in a way that you guys get started. We don't want you to overthink it. And you know what? I'm going to be bold, Stephen, and say it like this. If we asked you to go out and buy a domain name, and you spent $10 or $12, and you feel that we wasted your time to do that, send me a PM and I'll send you $10 back. But on the flip side of that, when you put up that domain name, and you start seeing it rank and seeing it come up in the SERPs with doing very little effort, then when you're a millionaire, I want you to send me half of that. You know, because this is what we're showing you. This is what we're doing. We put up that site with the fire agency site, and it's already ranking in Wellington on page 1. And we've done nothing to it.
Also, there, and we won't say where, right? But there's another location that you set the site up on, isn't there? And we'll share that with the inner circle in a minute. Of that's on, like, is that on page 2? I think you said today.
2 or 3, and you know,
yeah.
the way that the Google's always changing, and you know, we're never ever going to say that we are in charge of Google and know what they're going to do. But now it looks like they're moving everything towards more mobile type of result that they're delivering back. So it's like an endless page now. They don't have page numbers anymore. So you have to count all the different websites to see where you're ranking if you're just looking in the normal SERPs. But going forward, this is what we want to do. We want to show you how this happens. But if you built the fire agency site, and you did it when we were talking about it back in November, December, they should start becoming up in the SERPs. Because the 2 sites that we threw up, we didn't put phone numbers. We didn't do anything else. We just put them on the domain name,
didn't we? Yeah.
And I don't, you know, to be honest, I don't remember if we even added it to the Search Console. Maybe we did, maybe we didn't.
I know you didn't, but I know all you did was change the location on it. And you haven't even built the location pages yet on that site. All you did, put it up.
No, we only did MCB because that's what our focus was.
Yeah.
We only wanted you guys to see that.
Yeah. So it's super exciting. There's lots coming up this year with all sorts of things, and we are getting laser focused this year to get sites in my local area. I want to hit Somerset hard with the agency sites, and I know Robert wants to hit his area hard, and we're going to prove that ranking sites isn't the hard bit. The hard bit is having the confidence to pick up the phone and call people in the local area and go, "Hey, I noticed you haven't got a website. Are you looking for one?" And if they go no, say why not? You know, and it don't get downhearted. You get, you know, I've got turned down loads of times for sites in the past, and all I've gone, you know what? I'm just going to keep ranking the site. I'm going to get calls coming in. I'm going to route them to somebody that doesn't know me without telling them. And then once I've got so many calls a week coming in, I'm going to ring them up and say, I've been sending you calls. Because the moment you turn those calls off, right, they're going to be ringing you back saying, hang on a minute, I'm not receiving any more calls. Because what you've got to remember is, if you spend the time then ranking your site, you become number 1. And they end up being number 4, 5, or 6 because they're not looking after their website, which they don't. Right. And then you switch that phone number off to somebody else. Their phone line's going to go quiet. I've done it a few times myself in the local area. You know, when I first got into this, I did a dentist site, and in the end, the dentist bought the site off of me for quite a bit of money because I know they earn a lot of money. And when I set the site up, they did not believe that I would be number 1 in the local area, not even being a dentist. And I made the site. It was the Bristol area. I made the site number 1, ranked it number 1, got it found everywhere. And I cheated a little bit. I went out as well to local shops and magazines and advertised the site in those local magazines to get more calls coming in. And because the site was number 1, when I switched off the calls, their phone lines went dead, and they phoned me up going, "What have you done?" I said, "No, I'm going to give the calls to somebody else." And after a lot of negotiating, they started buying the calls from me. And then in the end, they paid me an awful lot of money for the site because they wanted to own it. And at the time, it was right for me to sell it. In hindsight, I think I should have kept it personally, but that's what it was. And they're still doing well today. They phone me occasionally wanting me to do work for them, and I tell them I don't do it now because I don't want to be doing individual sites for people anymore, because you end up micromanaging them. You know,
Yeah, 100%.
Hmm.
And personal story. We're going through something at the moment where years go by and you did something for somebody. They're going to remember you that you did something, but they're going to remember you and your phone number as the guy that did everything. And maybe you didn't do all the services. Maybe you arbitraged them out to other people and got them done, and all, but they're going to remember your name and your phone number. And it's up to you how you're going to handle that. But this is why most small businesses should pay for a monthly retainer fee of something, $100, $200, $300 for you to take care of their crap. Because what happens is they forget. They forget to renew their domain name. They forget to renew their hosting. They forget to do updates on their websites. And that retainer fee to you feels like, in some cases, like we're overcharging them because we're not doing anything. But at the end of the day, they forget to pay for their domain name and they lose it. And they lost 10 years of SEO authority for that domain, for their business. How much is that going to cost them at the end of the day? It's like a stab in the heart when they lose that domain name. And the same thing with the site going down. And this happens every day, guys. And I know that I'm going to speak for me and give you my opinions. But if we're not organized and we're not documented to do these things and make sure that we have our auto renews set up, or if Stephen became a business and he bought a domain name for his business, and he's let's call Stephen, he's going to be a roofer now, right? And he gets a domain name as a roofer. When he buys that domain name, you have to make sure that you buy that domain name either for a year and auto renew it, or buy it for several years. How much money does that cost to buy it for 5 years? $50, $100? You're a business. That's a business expense. And if you guys don't look at it that way for these people, they don't get it. And they shouldn't have a website to begin with. They have to understand it's a constant advertising for that business. And if the business folds, they lost $100. I guarantee you they lost tens of thousands on everything else that they were doing in that business, equipment-wise. So don't look at this as being cheap. Look at this as their insurance policy, that you're helping them maintain their domain, maintain their hosting, maintain their websites, maintain all of the things that they need to have. And you're doing all the right things. And you have to take that approach with these people. They don't understand it. They don't understand. They think they get one website, they put up a page, and they're going to have 10,000 phone calls a month, and they're going to be in the money. But in reality, we all know it's a lot of work. It's just a lot of work.
Something that I did a few years ago, I bought a site, I built it, I got it online, I drove loads of traffic to it, and I sold it on Flipper for $10,000. And I paid a service online to monitor the domain name. So in other words, the moment it came available, it would buy it for me. 12 months after the guy bought it from me, the domain name expired and I got the domain name. So what did I do? I put the original site, had a backup on there, drove loads of traffic to it and sold it again. So that when you do, if you ever do direct sites for anybody and you decide to go down that route, and this is the other thing as well, I know that, like the situation with Robert, this particular customer originally paid $3,000 for a site. Now they're phoning up and wanting help to get their hosting back up because they let their credit card expire. Now think about this. They're phoning up and asking for help, right? And they're not probably prepared to pay anything. So out of that $3,000 you originally made, is now time coming out of it to look after them. So you get the site back up and it's got errors and you got to fix it. And they go, well, I'm not paying for it. You originally did it. The next thing, that $3,000 is worth in profit $1,000 in your pocket. Then you do a bit more work. What you have to do is if you ever get a customer phone you about a site you originally built for them, you tell them straight, I'm going to have to quote you for this service. And if you don't like it, then go away. And the worst ones to deal with that is friends of friends, when friends and family. I've stopped taking on website work. If my mum occasionally phones me and goes, I know this bloke, he's a friend of mine who wants a website building. I go, I don't build websites. What do you mean? I thought you did. No, I don't, because I don't want friends of friends or friends of family. Because when you go down that route and you charge a price, I'd have to charge 30K for a site to know that in a few years' time, when they phone me up with a problem with it, that they might not want to pay me. And it has happened. The worst industry I ever worked in was the children's entertainers industry. When COVID hit, I lost all the monthlies that I had. I had quite a few customers on board, and I was pulling in probably about $5,000 a month on retainers for those, and plus extra work on top. And then COVID hit, and they couldn't even afford to pay $10 a month to cover the hosting. They offered to pay it, and they paid 1 month's worth and then stopped paying. And at the end of the pandemic, I get their sites going for the pandemic to be nice. And at the end of it, I then found out they were actually taking work on. 3 or 4 of them, I got someone to phone up and say, hey, can I book you? Yeah, when do you want to book for? And when I contacted them to say, I thought you said you weren't taking on any work. I've got someone to phone you and you said that you're working. Why aren't you paying your hosting? And they went, oh, I had nothing come in. Yet one of them went and put a video up on social media saying, hey, look where I am today, doing the children's party. So that was the point when I wrote to all of them. I said, get your sites off my hosting. You can keep the sites that we built. Get off my hosting. I don't want you on there anymore. They all had to move it off. 3 of them I know ran out of time and lost their sites. And they've still been begging me to do stuff for them. I keep telling them, yeah, send me $1,000 and I'll look after you. But
and this is, again, we will never tell you how to run your business or what you want to do to run your business. Well, what we will say to you, these are real life experiences. We go through them every day. We go through them, and have to deal with people that are unhappy with things. And you have to look at the big picture. Why are they unhappy? Because they don't understand. If I asked every one of you on the call or listening to this in a replay, do you understand how a computer works? I'm going to say 9 out of 10 are clueless how a damn computer works. They don't want to know. They don't care how it works. I turn it on, I get online, and I do what I want to do. I go surfing, I go shopping, I go to but I don't know how that black box works.
Yeah,
it's the same thing with a website. They don't understand how it works. They don't care how it works. They just want it to make the phone ring and people will knock on their door. And that's what this is all about. So as Stephen and I go through it all the time with you guys and with other people, the copy doesn't read it right. That word is wrong, or this color isn't just right, or there's something about it. It doesn't flipping matter. If the site ranks and the back end content on the service pages has a few words that aren't saying exactly the right thing, Google sees it. It looks human. It looks like it's an error in copyright. Now, if it reads like Chinese, it's a problem. But for it to read perfect grammar, no, it's not going to happen. And we ran into this week like this. Somebody said, well, your copyright is very elementary level. And my web developer said it should be much better than that. It's just not right. Well, if you look it up, Google will tell you that the copyright readability should be somewhere in the 7th, 8th grade level, meaning very elementary. Why? Because not everybody's educated to be a PhD in whatever the niche is.
English.
They're educated in basic.
Mm.
So when your website reaches all of these different people, then it makes it simple for them to read it and you get more business out of it. But if you make the content so hard to read, most of the people drop off. They don't understand it. They're not going to stay on the page.
Yeah. You know, in our themes, we have the service pages, right? They're not necessarily there for people to sit and read. They're there to get Google to notice your site. When they get on your site, what they get, what's the, but out of interest, right? You can put one in the chat or raise your hand. I don't mind which one. I want to know, when you go to a website, are you realistically, if you're looking for a home service like plumber or electrician, are you spending the time looking through and reading all their information, or are you looking for a web form and phone number? If you put one in the chat, if you look for a phone number or web form out of interest, exactly. And we're getting loads of ones. And Sarah said, yes, I do read through the info. Sarah, you're slightly different probably, because a lot of us who do websites will read through the info. But when I talk to people in other groups, and I've asked them the same question, they've gone, I've got a bleeding neck problem, as Robert would say, right? I'm not interested in if you got five stars. There's 3 rules with plumbers, right, in my book, and that is: 1, have they got a phone number I can call them? Have they got a form I can fill in? And are they gas registered in the UK, so I know they're safe? And that's the only rules I'm worried about. I don't care about anything else on their site, right? Because if I've got a problem, I've got a pipe burst under my boiler, I'm going to be getting them in my house as quickly as possible. Or help, how do I turn the water off? Lucky enough, I know where the stopcock is. I don't know if that's what you call it in America, but the shut-off valve. Right. And the bottom line is most people go to a website looking for a solution to the problem. Another good example is in affiliate marketing, right? When someone sends you an email with a product, do you read through the entire product, or do you do what I do and scroll to the bottom to see how much it is? Because I'll tell you now, right? I will look at the product briefly in the email and go, that looks interesting. I'll whip straight to the site, straight to the buy now button and find out how much it is. And what I'll also do is, in fact, I will also search for the name of the product plus the word JV, or go to Munch Eye and have a look. I want to find their JV page. I want to know how many upsells they've got. Now, the average Joe blogs will just go, I'll buy that, I'll buy that, I'll buy that. Oh, look, there's an upsell, I'll buy that, and I'll buy that. Right, I'm different because I've been in affiliate marketing, so I'll go looking for their JV page. And how many upsells are there? Normally, you find there's 16 upsells. The product for $15 on the front end ends up costing you $3.5K. You buy it, you don't do anything with it, you have no help, And I'm sure, right, and let's just as a test, but one in the chat, if I've done this, right, where you bought everything under the sun that comes into your email, and you've got all these useless products sat in your inbox, because I spent thousands of dollars on products. And that's why we're always passionate about looking after you guys. And yes, 2022 for us was an uphill struggle at times. But we've always tried to get on calls with you guys. We've always tried to sort things out. There's, normally me and Robert are dealing with what we call the bleeding neck problems within DFY Magic Themes, of people having issues. And a lot, a lot of the times it's not anything of our software. Sometimes it's extra plugins or something else going on, or as we had this year, the hosting issues out of our control, and but we're this year is going to be a good year. We want to get the case studies in. I want to build loads of sites in my local area, because we've got a long-term plan for DFY Magic Themes to support every customer of ours. We're here for a very long time. But also, it's always good not always to have your eggs in one basket. And by me building my own sites in Somerset and ruling the entire area and getting people paying for leads or renting sites, if I can show you how I'm doing that, so you can copy it and you can make money as well, we all grow together. And this is the year for it, and we are now in a far stronger position with the themes. We know there's a couple of glitches. With any new plugins, you get little glitches, but we'll get those ironed out over the next couple of weeks, and then we can move forward very, very quickly. And that's why I'm keen to get the case studies in the members area for you of me building a site. You can see the domain name. You'll be able to go and look at the searches yourself in the area. There's a couple of sites which we use to go. iSearch.com, I think, is one of them that one of the members here told me about, that you can actually search locality, or you could just type in the keyword. Something else I will say, when I do the agency site, my plan is to try and rank for harder keywords, because when you go on these rank and rent courses, right? Or another example, I was on a webinar last year that was offering a video product that could be on page 1 of YouTube and Google. But the one thing they do every time is use long tail keywords. Now, if I was going to do a website and the title of it is Robert is amazing, and he's the best, and he's the best person in Wellington who I personally know. If
and
that was
there's probably 100 searches a month, right, for that.
Now, if I put that in there as a YouTube video, and you type that into YouTube or Google, that video is going to be #1 because of the amount of words in it. But if I just put Robert as the title of the video, right, it's going to be more difficult to rank that. And my plan is to make sure in the local area that I am the number for the agency theme, the #1 website for the local towns near me, because I don't want to go too far. I don't want to be driving too far out. And if someone phones me going, do you build websites? I'm going to go, no, but you can rent any of the ones already on my site. Let me know what you do. I'll let you know when we got it in the pipeline. I'm not planning any more specialist sites for anybody, because the last one I did, I made it both me and the customer agreed that there'd been a mistake made, that we hadn't actually got written down properly what was agreed. It was all verbally, and we copied an entire site on his recommendation. He paid for it and then decided he wanted it redesigning in its entirety, and in the end, on the second run, I decided that's it. It's just too much micromanaging and taking up my time for what we were getting paid. And so we both agreed to part company, which is a better thing. And that's the last customer I'm certainly looking after now on direct websites, because it becomes a headache and a nightmare without, you've got to put your prices at 20, 30K to be well worth your time. Even if you're going to outsource it to a developer, you've got to be putting your prices high for building websites. And and another thing, I'm if I get anyone else, I will get a deal with a local web developer in my area. I'll find somebody who actually builds physical websites and say, if I pass you customers, how much will you pay for them? And if he goes $100 a customer, I'll go, great. I'll send you, whenever I get calls for individual sites, I'll pass them to you. You pay me $100, whether they take up work or not, I'm happy. And then when I get those phone calls that I don't want to deal with, I'll pass them to someone else, let them deal with them, let them have the headache. It's the old saying, get the cream of the crop, and that's why I come back to, like, with putting up sites, put more than one niche up, and then look at which ones are doing well. And the ones that are doing well are the ones you initially focus on. They're the ones you do extra citations, you do extra work on, you get links, social media links back to them, you get articles online, you spend that little bit extra time tweaking the SEO, seeing what other company, go to Google and search for a similar company and what you're doing, and look at their search engine results. Look at the adverts that are on Google. The adverts are on Google, right? When you look at the wording, it's normally worded in a way by someone who knows what they're doing, even if it's a Google representative. So you can take that copy and put that onto a page of your own site, and on the SEO plugin, you've got an option for title and description. So take that advert content and whack it in there, because the written word is not, you can't copyright the written word unless it's a trademark item. In the UK, we've got BBC Television. If I started going, buy a website from BBC Television, call me here, I think the BBC would be knocking on my door and telling me off. But if there was just a more generic thing, it said, like, get a website from abcwebsites.com, and I took that title, put mine in, you won't get done for that copyright. And that's the thing about it, is just look what other people are doing. Change the words a little bit, tweak them a little bit. And that's the advantage of the MCB now and the MLB, is the fact that you can use rank math. You can, what's the other one, Robert, that we mentioned?
Oh shoot.
I know Mr. Steve Dimmock
press SEO press.
SEO, is it, Steve? I'm trying to remember.
Something like that.
Yeah, he's nodding at me. Yeah. So SEO press. And that one we managed to get to work with the MCB on, because Steve was asking for it as a customer. There's Yoast as well. I'm not so keen on Yoast because it's a bit heavy on the website. It's not my favorite. It's still a good plugin, but it's not my favorite. So, and it's a case of going for each of the standard pages. Even before you build the mass pages, go for each of the standard pages, add the title and description on each of those pages for your local area, and that's the SEO done. And then do the mass page part. But what we are going to do now is go to the inner circle only. We're giving away too many golden nuggets, as always, Robert, to the free groups.
Well, before we leave, Steve, I just want to say, anybody that truly wants to get ahead and move forward, follow your passion. Go after what you want to go do. But if it's website building, local business that need websites, it sounds so simplistic. However, there are so many companies. I mean, millions and millions of websites are created every day, but so are businesses. Businesses are opening every day that need websites. And when you really start to look at this, we overcomplicate everything. We're afraid to get started. We don't know where to get started. We don't know what to do. Why, Stephen, did we create the agency website? Why did we spend the last almost 2 years putting this together? Because we want to help you guys. We want to help you guys make it simplistic to get started. We look at all these things that held us back when we were getting started, and we don't want to be the people that are constantly reaching into your pocket, into your wallet, into your purse, and grabbing your credit cards to sell you more crap. That is not what we're trying to do. We are trying to make this a viable business for you by following simple directions and doing it rinse and repeat. That's what we want to happen. Had that happen over and over again. And we show you what we do. We show you our mistakes. We show you where you should start. But again, if it's not your passion to do this, you're in the wrong place. Don't do it. Do what you're passionate about, because then you're going to do it. But if you feel that technology, or the lack of information, or the lack of information that you have to get something done in this realm, you're listening to the right video, because you want the person that's going to reach their hand out and help you get started. You want the people that are willing to put themselves aside for your best interest. And unfortunately, and that's why we call our group of people defiers, because the rest of the online marketing is not doing that. They are selling you and selling you and selling you, because you know what? They're good at it. And you'll keep buying it and buying it and buying it, just like we did. That's right. We both did it. I know Steven's done it. I know I've done it. I know most of the people in our program have done it. They buy crap they didn't need, but it looked good at the time, so they bought it.
Or they bought stuff that is good, but then haven't got the support afterwards to help them get to where they need to be.
So that's why you have to make a decision, and take that shortcut. Take that. I said to Stephen today, we ought to do an MPP build with the JSON files and do it the hard way, and then compare it to the DFY way and see what the difference is, and then look at the websites when they're done. Because when you build it with the JSON files, you don't really have a website. You have a few pages, but now that's where the work starts.
Got to
When
do
you-
the titling, the content, the images.
When
You
you
don't want to leave
finish,
the original images on a site.
when you finish your DFY
necessarily.
build, you have a site.
Mm.
And that's what we have done. And then we just showed it in a month and a half, or I don't know what it's been, maybe a month and a half. It hasn't been 2 months. And that site's already starting to rank. And all we did was put it on the domain name. So anyways, follow your passion. If you have an interest in getting into what we're doing and getting a hold of the agency website, then look us up, PM us, and we'll help you get started.
On that note, free groups, we will see you soon. And we are going to now switch to the inner circle members only and talk to them directly in the Zoom call. So we'll say good night to all of the free groups.